1980.
Right.
I went to Paris with Alan for your 40th birthday.
Yes, well, Mum wanted to buy me a present for my 40th birthday, and we decided a trip to Paris was a good idea. I can't remember why. Well, she probably couldn't come because she was looking after you guys, or
Yeah.
involved with looking after you guys.
Yeah.
And anyhow, so I spoke to Alan, and Alan and I decided to go.
Right.
And we had a really nice time. It was a bit odd, two blokes. We stayed at this sort of an interesting hotel near Saint-Sulpice, which is a big old church in Paris.
Uh-huh.
And our only sort of weird event was when we were in somewhere in the sort of Pigalle or somewhere in the sort of rather sleazy district. We got invited into a bar
Oh.
by a lady,
Right.
and well, we went in and had a drink. Or we went into the bar. I can't remember how we got into the bar, but we were accosted when we were in there. And both of us didn't have the nerve to go through with it, so we both ran out. But we had a really nice time, and we did all sorts of Parisienne things. And then,
How long were you there for?
I think it was only a week.
Oh, okay.
And then we went down to Claude and Michel's. And stayed with them for a few days as well, which
Right.
was really nice. And
Right.
did our sort of Basque thing and roaming around the Claude and all that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Excellent.
So that was your 40th birthday.
That was my 40th birthday.
Right. And then it says divorce.
And so that was in 1981.
Right.
So I assume things, I can't remember, but I assume the fact that I did go on my own with Alan might have been, things probably weren't that great. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not quite sure why Mum and I didn't go.
Right.
But anyhow, yes. So the divorce is what, 83 or 84? I can't remember.
We don't have
when it
dates
is.
in here, so.
Okay, well, it's 83 or 84.
Yeah.
So we had that, and Mum moved out
Right.
and bought a condominium on Huron Street.
Right.
And I stayed in the family home. And the deal was that I would stay in the home until Julia had graduated from high school.
Right.
And you elected to go and live with Mum
Mm-hmm.
for a bit anyhow.
Yeah.
And Julia lived with me, and then you came back to live with me as well.
Yeah.
And Tracy, oddly enough,
Lived with us for a
came
bit.
to live with us for a bit as well. And that was motorcycle time, I seem to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny, you didn't actually put your first one down here. But that's right, I think it was something in like 84.
Yeah, it was after the divorce.
We went and
It's
got
a classical
motorcycles.
thing.
Yeah.
You get divorced, you get a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you got a Suzuki GS 400.
yeah, that's right. I got a
And
Suzuki.
I got a 1983
You got a
Yamaha 350. RZ
Yeah, but
350
yours was a sort of
racing bike.
a racing bike.
Yeah.
Mine was a sort of regular type bike.
Yeah. Less racing.
Yes,
Mine was a two-stroke.
that's right. And mine was 4.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Did the motorcycling thing.
And then we also, did you get a bigger one?
Yeah, well, you traded up in the night.
I traded up to a
Yeah.
650.
Yeah,
God,
Suzuki
it was
GS
big.
650.
God, it
That
was huge. It was
fairing that was
huge
like
fairing.
yeah,
on it.
and it-
yeah.
huge.
Yes.
And
that's
then
right.
I bought Duncan's, Mum's old boss's bike.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And that was a Nighthawk 650
Yeah,
Honda.
yeah. A sort of quiet bike.
Yeah.
Well,
But
after
they
the
both had
last one.
shaft drive, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was more of a cruiser, but
Yeah.
it didn't have a fairing.
Yes.
Not
that's
like
right.
yours.
Yeah. No, it's huge, that bike, when I think about
The
it.
Suzuki, yeah, it was heavy.
Yeah.
really
it was
heavy.
Really heavy. But, but it went.
Yeah.
All right.
So, and then Joan Majewski.
Well, then I was working for doing freelance work for Gage,
Mm-hmm.
and I met Jo. She was an math editor at Gage.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
And so that's where I met her.
Right.
And when I first met her, she was living out. Gage was out sort of kind of northeast of the city.
Right. Markham or something.
Yeah, Markham.
Yeah.
And so she was living out in Markham, so it was a bit of a performance
Mm-hmm.
going out with her.
Right.
But yes, that's where we first met, at Gage.
And you got the canoe.
That's right. That was the other thing. I went with John McKee to Ottawa and Black River.
Mad River.
No, it wasn't Mad River.
Black Feather.
Black Feather. Black Feather, I believe, was the outfitters in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought a, what was it, 17 foot fiberglass canoe.
Yeah.
Which still works,
Yeah.
and was a great canoe. And at that point, I used to go at least twice a year with the lads canoeing, and we would, that was McKee, Daniel, Arthur, Jim McConnell, who else? How many is that? Paul Caulfield, so it's Paul, Jim, John, no, that was 6, 6 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go canoeing, 3 or 4 times a year.
Right.
And it was great, it was really terrific,
And you did, where did you canoe?
Well, the Magneton, the French, the Key,
Mm-hmm.
and then we did one trip where, and I can't remember the name of it, where we went right up.
Tobermory.
No.
Temagami.
North Bay.
I thought you went to Temagami at one point.
No, I mean, I
did
did.
that.
We might have done, but it wasn't. It was a bit of a pain going up the Bruce. There's a long way to go, and it's just the lake up there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas when we used to go down the French, you'd go down the French, and it's much more interesting going down a river than farting around the lake.
Yeah.
But what's the lake? Not Lake Simcoe. Up north from Toronto. North Bay way. Oh God, I can't think of the name.
Huron.
No, it's a small lake, like Lake Simcoe. Wow, smaller. We went up for a couple of weeks. We went up to whatever the lake is up there.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
All right, and then I guess you sold Anderson.
Yeah. Then the divorce thing was that, when Julia graduated, we would sell the family home and split the difference.
And that basically happened. Julia graduated in June, and you were.
And I had gone by September.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
We sold the house, and I had never had as much money as in my life before, sort of cash in the bank, so to speak. So I decided to go to France, initially for a year, and so I went in September, and I went to a school in just outside Cannes, or no, outside Nice. Villefranche-sur-Mer. I went to school there for 2 months, which was fantastic. It was bloody expensive. It was about $8,000, I seem to remember. Yeah, but you got fed and accommodation and taught.
Right.
And you went to school every day at sort of 8 o'clock or whatever it was, and you had breakfast in the school.
Right.
And you had lunch in the school,
Right.
and you had afternoon tea in the school.
Oh, okay.
And so then you got out at 5:30.
Wow.
So it's quite a long day.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, it was pretty rigorous French stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared an apartment with two guys, Cy, who was from California, and Michel, who was a German chap.
Right.
And Michel had an Alfa Romeo car.
Oh, cool.
And every so often, if he was sort of going away, as he frequently did on the weekend, Cy and I would have the car
Nice.
and zoom around. And yeah, it was nice actually. And then, so we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment, and below us was Vidal Sassoon's daughter and her toy boy.
Really?
Yes, they were living, and they,
Wow.
in fact, had a problem with drugs
Oh, no.
and a fire in their apartment while we were there.
Oh, wow.
And so they got kicked out, and you know, I don't know, you know, they just got kicked out, yeah, of the school and the apartment.
They were at the school.
Yeah, yeah. No, the school like did it all. Like you didn't rent your own apartment. Like you just said, I want
But
to do.
Vidal Sassoon's daughter was at a French school
Yeah,
that you went to?
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the clientele at the school was quite a few Americans
Yeah.
and rich Americans.
Right.
Well, because I had to come from Canada, I suppose, but like they were, yeah, well-off Americans.
Right.
And a lot of them were, is it Palm Beach? Not the one in Florida, the one in California.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's
right?
like there's like one of a good guy, a really nice guy I met, a guy called David, gay but really nice guy,
Yeah.
not aggressively gay, but he owned 2 shopping plazas.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the sort of crowd you got.
Yeah, yeah.
They were all, there was
So
a
sort of-
Swedish guy who was, God, I can't remember, he worked for some sort of huge lumber company that was
Right.
moving to Paris, it was opening an office in Paris. And so there was quite a few corporate
Business,
people
yeah.
floating. There's a Japanese guy who was heading up a Japanese perfumery place in Paris.
Right.
So there's quite a few sort of corporate guys,
Yeah, yeah.
and then sort of rich dilettante guys, a number of sort of fairly well-off American women who were sort of
Well, I guess that's what you get when you go to
bored
school.
and decided to learn French, you know,
Yeah,
or
that
whatever.
costs
yeah.
a lot of money. You get
But I mean, it was like once a month you had to do a 40-minute presentation.
wow.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was, yeah. Okay, you needed money to sort of go to the place,
Yeah, yeah.
but
It was good
when you
instruction.
got there, you actually had to work.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah. It
just
wasn't
sort
easy.
of,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I paid me money, fuck it. You know, I'll just kind of cruise through this.
Yeah.
You know. Anyhow, yes. So I did that, and then when the time was up, I came home for Christmas.
Right.
I did a job for DC Heath. Then I went back in the spring and lived with the desert, Claude and Michel, for about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow, I decided I would go back to Provence. And I went back to Provence, and I was at Saint-Rémy de Provence, and I met a guy called Paul, who was selling real estate
Right.
in France.
Right.
An English guy flogging real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because I must have been really naive, but like we'd meet and have a drink at 10 in the morning. And it took me about a week, and I realised this guy was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know, and holy shit. Anyhow, I remember one day, one of the things we did, in Saint-Rémy there was a house that had been owned by Nostradamus, and we went to check it out. To
Really?
like, because he was going to sell it, and so we went to sort of, get all the information on it from the people. So I just sort of went along with him.
Yeah.
And he was like selling fairly serious places.
Huh.
And it was through him, he knew Peter Spence.
Right.
And it was through him that I met Peter Spence and Sarah, and they had a big house in Buis-les-Baronnies.
Right.
And Peter Spence was renovating this big farmhouse, and he needed someone to help hold the other end of the bit of wood or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
So we made an agreement that I would help him and live in that, and they would give me full board, and I'd stay there.
Right.
And we would go painting together. He was a full-time painter.
Right.
And so that's when I sort of really seriously got back into painting. So I sort of draw, and somewhere in the middle of all this lot, I had acquired a Dishevaux.
Right. Right.
I acquired it when I was at Paul's. Not Paul's, at Claude and Michel's. I bought it from a friend of theirs,
Oh, okay.
a guy called Francois.
Oh, okay.
I bought the Dishevaux. So I drove that to Saint-Rémy.
Right.
So I had wheels, and then I then met Peter Spence. I stayed with him, and we finished farting around with his house. We
Right.
built a fireplace and did all sorts of stuff. And then next door to him was Jean Mongenot, who was a French professor at a university in Grenoble, and he had what he called a cabinet, which is one on, 2-story, 2-room
Right.
stone house, originally used by workers in the vines, kind of.
Shepherds and stuff.
No, not shepherds. Like, guys who kind of they would pick olives or do that kind of stuff, and the donkey would stay there, and they would have lunch there, and keep their tools there and things. Anyhow, Jean had owned this, and so I met him, and then in the summer, he only came, typically French. He did his August holiday in France, and he came with his girlfriend. Jean was about 60, and his girlfriend was 32.
Oh, wow.
Ex-student.
Right.
This classical kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he, at the end of the summer, he proposed that if I cleared what had once been an old canal, I could stay there all winter for nothing.
Ah, okay.
So it took me 6 weeks to clear this canal of all these brambles.
Wow.
Well, I found a Dishevaux in there. There's a lot of brambles, okay. And so I had a house.
Yeah.
For a year.
Yeah.
Or, well, until the next summer.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now I've got a free house.
Yeah.
Now the house didn't have running water and didn't have a toilet.
Right.
So every 2 weeks you dug a new toilet.
Right.
And water I would get from Peter and Sarah's place next door.
Right.
But there was also a river. The river, oh God, what the hell was the name of that? There was a river at the bottom of the property. So I used to sort of swim and bathe in there. And I had a tin bath that I could fill up. And in the summer, I would fill it up in the morning, and then by the evening it was warm enough to sort of bathe in. It was nice. Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's the French experience
Yes.
and painting.
Yes.
Modestine?
Modestine was the name of my car.
Ah, okay. And the Cabanel is the name of the place we were just talking about.
Yeah, the Cabanel is
Yeah.
the Cabanel.
Yeah.
Yeah.